Welcome back to You 2.0, Step into Your Greatness with me, Kristin. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you for tuning in to our third episode. I'm really excited about this show because it is going to be a lot about this transition into the new year and what we want to make of that, what's meaningful for each of us. One of the things I most commonly hear that a lot of us are focused on is our health, and me included in that. This has been a really great time to kind of assess where I'm at and look at the changes I might want to make, the things I might want to do or not do as it pertains to creating more health in the future and in the new year. And so I wanted to just share some information. It's interesting because school vacation's done and the kids are back in school, and I've had some really incredible ideas come to me this morning. And so I'm kind of just sharing what's been coming up because I do believe that I'm having these ideas for very specific reasons so that I can bring them to the forefront into all of you. Today, I really want to talk about health. Health is such an important issue. It's the most important asset that we all have at our disposal. We all have this ability to create more, feel better in, support our own individual health and the health of those that we love and care about so much. So I want to touch on that today and what health means, not just what health means for me as a health coach, but what does health mean for you as a woman or for your daughters or your mothers? And it's going to be different. It's okay. Like, we all have our own definition of health. But I think what's really important is that we don't define health by what someone else tells us it should be, or we don't compare ourselves to someone else's level of health, therefore making us feel badly or like we're not doing enough or we should be doing more. That can really send us in this negative spiral or loop of a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of guilt or shame, which ultimately lends to we stop doing it. We stop doing the thing that we want to do or we've been trying to do because we just feel badly about ourselves or the results aren't coming fast enough. So it's really important to be honest with where you're at in your level of health today, and then take the necessary steps forward. You know, one step today, another step tomorrow, more steps next week, but to make it small and incremental, because really health is something that is achieved over the long term. It's not going to happen overnight. And we have to be patient in this process as we are moving into this greater level of health in our own life. For those of us who might be dealing with health issues right now, or illness or sickness, it doesn't happen overnight. When I drove myself to the hospital, when I had made myself so sick from the way I was eating, my chronic stress and anxiety, and I thought my stomach might explode, and I drove myself to the hospital. You know, that period of time was a moment in my life. It was an event that happened in my life, but the period of time leading up to that, leading up to my own sickness and what was going on for me in my body, that takes time. So if making ourselves sick takes time, remind yourself, be patient with yourself, love yourself, and know that supporting your health, doing the things to create a more positive health experience for you, for your body, for your mind, for whatever it is you're working on, it takes time. So please allow that for yourself. Give yourself a lot of grace in the process of health. All right, so some of the things that have been coming up for me today as it pertains to health is I want you to start thinking about health on more of an individual basis. I was thinking about some of the people that I know who are very focused on health. They have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, whether it's other coach friends or podcasts or books that I read or YouTube interviews, whatever it might be, that I'm obtaining knowledge from listening to these speakers, to these educators. They're giving amazing recommendations. I absolutely love it. In fact, when I hear something that really resonates for me, I pay attention to that thing. And even today I was thinking, well, Kristin, what do you want to incorporate for health for your own life this year? What's important to you? And I'm recently realizing I want to switch to try another omega-3 supplement. I take supplements because typically we don't get the nutrition, the minerals, the vitamins in our normal foods that we need to be healthy and to feel good. And so I do take some supplements, and omega-3 is one of those things. I'm going to switch my omega and try it. I've been focused on sleep for quite a while because I cannot tell you how much research right now is coming out on sleep and how important good quality sleep is for our health. A little harder to achieve with a 3-year-old who is up at 5 in the morning and an 8-year-old who is up at midnight. But you know, like we all have these situations, right? We're all kind of working through it as we can. But if I can make my sleep a priority, even though I can't control what happens with my little ones, it's okay. It's better than me going to bed really late, which was my old pattern, and then waking up in the morning and just feeling awful. And then I couldn't do the other things that were so important to me. Like I love to meditate and I go to the gym. Those are very, very important to my health and well-being, and I do them every morning. So, you know, going to bed earlier so that when the kids do wake up, when something does interrupt my sleep, it's okay. It's okay, you know, like it's going to happen. And there's nothing we can do about that. So sleep is one of those things that I would just encourage you to ask yourself honestly, am I getting enough rest? Would I like to start seeing how I feel in my daily life when I get a little bit of extra sleep? It really might only be 15 to 30 minutes more, can make a huge difference in how we feel and our energy. I mean, when we are in sleep mode, our body is detoxifying, our brain is detoxifying, like we are resting and recharging on so many levels for the next day and all of the things that are happening in that next day. Sleep is very important. Rest is very important for the body to do what it needs to do to heal, because our body is always trying to heal itself, to come back into homeostasis, to feel better again. So very important to remember rest. The other thing I'm going to be a lot more intentional on in 2023 and in leaping into this new year from a more healthy standpoint, and that is getting more fiber in my daily diet. So there is a doctor, Dr. Mark Hyman, who I really follow and feel very passionately about his work and so much great information that he puts out in the health space. And the video was on gut health, and it was on getting more fiber in our diet. I was just doing some research where the average American gets around 15 grams of fiber per day, and that might not even be through healthy whole food sources, right? That could be fiber and other things, or processed foods, things that aren't necessarily healthy for us. But his recommendation is 30 to 50 grams of fiber a day. But when I just heard him talking about fiber, I realized like I'm not getting enough fiber. And I've been on this gut health journey for a few years, but like some of this stuff gets away from us sometimes, or we realize that we haven't actually been getting enough of a certain thing that maybe we need. And so for me, that is my third intention for the year, for my own personal health, digestion, gut, all of these things that we're hearing so much about right now because they are so important. It is more fiber from fibrous, healthy, whole foods and vegetables and beans and grains and all of these wonderful things that we have easy access to in our culture, and yet so many of us are not getting nearly enough of. Going back now for a minute to health and how it's individual for each and every one of us. I would say I'm fairly new to yoga in the last 2 or 3 years. For about a decade, I knew it was good for me, but I couldn't get myself to go. I couldn't get myself to do it. And now when I go, I really love it. I really feel supported and I feel very good about myself after I do a yoga class. But this story is I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she's an instructor. She teaches barre. She's absolutely wonderful, very active mom. And I was asking her if she does yoga, and she said, no, but I should. And I said, well, do you want to? Like, do you like it? And she was very honest. She's like, no, not really. And I was like, okay, well, then maybe you don't need to be doing yoga. But the point of this story is not that we should all be doing yoga and we should feel bad if we don't want to go, or we can't make a class, or we can't get that in right now. It's if we don't gravitate toward it, if it doesn't resonate for us, it's okay, because it might down the road. And if not, that's okay too. But maybe it's just not the right timing for where we are in our journey and in our life to be doing yoga. This is just one example. It could be so many, right? So I just want to encourage you to just ask yourself, what do I need right now to support my health? Not what does Kristin tell me I need, or my best friend, or my mother, or someone else. It's not about what someone else thinks you need to be doing. It's what you know innately, in here, intuitively, you know in your heart that you could benefit from this thing, and then just trying it. Because honestly, like, there are going to be things that I try in my health journey, there already have been, and I didn't feel any different, or it didn't really resonate for me. And that's okay. Like, I just might not go back and do it again, or I might not partake in that particular modality because it didn't resonate for me the way that something else might. That's okay, because maybe just where I'm at in my own journey, I'm just not benefited by it right now. And that's good too. You know, it's okay. There are just so many great modalities and ways to heal ourselves, and practitioners and information, and there's so much out there that we can really tap into and be learning from if we're open, and if that's what we want and desire for our life. And honestly, I was not a health guru before opening a gym, before getting really sick. I didn't pay attention to any of these things, but now I'm very self-aware as to how do I feel, how is my energy right now. What if I'm not feeling energetic, if I'm feeling completely depleted or drained, I will ask myself, what's going on right now, or what's changed for me that might be creating this sense of, feeling very tired, feeling very stressed, whatever it might be. And I will pretty quickly figure it out, because I've been doing this for a while, and because I am self-aware. And it's okay if you don't know, but just stay open to allowing the answers to come to you, because we do hold the answers inside us. If we're just open, they will come when they need to come. Okay, so just again, like, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but giving yourself a lot of grace in this process of healing and health, and knowing that whatever you're working on, whatever feels good, or maybe it doesn't, so you stop, like, it's all okay. Because if you start to think of yourself as a science experiment and trying new and different things that may or may not support your health, then that's wonderful. And you will absolutely know. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on today was our relationships going into the new year, looking forward as we're leaning into our next version of whoever you 2.0 is meant to be. My version of you 2.0. I'd like for you to just take a few minutes and think about your relationships, not just relationships with people. I'm talking about your relationship with your career, with your job, your relationship with food, what you are putting in your body that is making you healthy, or it could be potentially making you sick. What are your relationships like in your life in the various aspects? It might be your relationship with your children, your relationship with your spouse. Just spending some time and inquiry really looking at those things for you is a very powerful way to become self-aware and to see if there are, I'm going to use this word that I heard from one of our mentors. My husband and I were listening to a video together the other night, and Tom Bilyeu is the one who is sharing this because we love Tom's content. My husband really loves Tom. And he talks about the negative feedback loop. And something about this term negative feedback loop jumped out at me. And I'm like, this is relevant. Like, I can apply this in my own life. Where are my negative feedback loops? What are the loops and things that keep happening in my life because of something I'm doing that's creating this experience, this vicious cycle, if you will? That it continues to happen. I continue to feel this way. I continue to eat until my tummy feels yucky. One of my negative feedback loops is I was eating even more sugar in December than I care to admit in this video, but I'm going to. And I was eating more sugar because of the holidays, and I was drinking more than I would be drinking normally too. And I really don't drink a lot. But this month, like towards the end of the month, the holidays, I was drinking more than I normally would. And I don't think that this is abnormal by any means. We're gathering, there are holidays, it can feel stressful, and it can actually create this pattern of drinking more. or eating more, where the sweets are just around and they're easy and convenient to just grab and pop in our mouth, right? But what I realized was how this was making me feel and how I didn't want to go into the new year continuing with this pattern, this negative feedback loop. Because really what I was experiencing, and I was recently talking to a coach friend about this exact topic, but when we eat more sugar, when we're drinking alcohol, that also can trigger more anxiety, more stress for us. It can make things they feel harder because food and alcohol are directly impacting our emotions as well. And it's so fascinating. I love it. But if you just look at your relationships with things like alcohol or food or children or spouse or boss or best friend or whatever, look at these relationships that you have in your life. Is there a negative feedback loop there? And if there is, then there's no judgment in that. It's simply awareness, but and I teach this all the time with clients, but when we can become self-aware, then we always have the power of choice. The power of choice is where we get to decide if we want to do something about it. And if we do, there is so much support for you out there that will help you and cheer you on and want what's best for you and your health. But if you don't want to make the change right now, that's okay too. Nobody is going to judge you for that. Nobody even knows, right? It's your own level of self-awareness that is now becoming apparent to you. And you can make a choice. So the power of choice is huge. We are always making choices, whether we know it or not. Even the decision to not choose something, let's say we procrastinate, we're in indecision, we don't know, that's a choice too. We're making a choice to procrastinate. We're making a choice to stay in indecision, which is very hard for me. I do not like being stuck in indecision, but just know that it happens to all of us. Like it happens to all of us. I've given you some tidbits on health and what was coming up for me this morning. I wanted to just hit record and see what came up. And I hope that something I've shared, remember, like the stuff that pops out to you that really resonates for you, that's the stuff that maybe right now you could consider working on or focusing on. What are my negative feedback loops? Or what does health mean for me in 2023? Or in any new month or new year, or just kind of a launching point. That doesn't mean that on January 15th, if you're listening to this, you won't wake up and be like, no, I'm going to start working on my health today on January 15th. Like today is my day. Like don't wait for a new year. Life is happening now. This is your life. This is your health. This is you 2.0, and you have every opportunity. And also the power of choice. Think of it like I am always making choices. A lot of the things that we do in our day and in our life, we're doing kind of on autopilot. They're happening automatically, or we don't really have to think about it. It takes very little energy or effort from our brain standpoint to do that thing. So very small amounts of what we do throughout the day. It's like 5 to 10% is consciously making decisions or choices. Even procrastination is something that is very unconscious for most of us. We can have 100 things going on, but if we're not doing the one thing that is most important to us, or that is creating a lot of anxiety, or feels like a huge weight on our shoulders, or feels very stressful that we just need to attend to, like that's unconscious procrastination. We're intentionally not doing the one most important thing, or one of the most important things, that's just kind of weighing on our shoulders because we're convinced that there's so many other great things we need to be doing. There's so many important things that need to be attended to that we're not doing this other thing, that we're procrastinating against this other thing that truly is one of the most important in the whole realm of things. So thank you so much for tuning in today. There's been lots of great information in this video, so I hope that you just spend some time with it, thinking about it, or re-listening and doing some journaling, because I want you to start thinking about your health as an individual process that you're in and what's best for you right now in your health journey in this new year. I'm going to actually use one of my own examples of how you can use multiple things shared in this video and kind of incorporate them into a process for going forward from today or whenever you choose to start into the future, and just taking one step a day towards that higher level of health for yourself. So if I were to identify my negative feedback loops, which I have been working on since hearing Tom talk about it the other night, I would identify one of them is the stress I was feeling in the evenings. When I would finish dinner, I wouldn't necessarily feel full or totally satiated. I would feel like I needed to continue to keep eating. But then what I realized for myself is a lot of my continuing to keep eating is stress-related eating. It's emotional eating. And I would be walking to the cabinets to find chocolate. So whether it's chocolate chips or if I have cookies or brownie, I make healthy choices of these things that I still eat on a very regular basis. But what I discovered is that my consumption of sugar or a cookie or brownies or whatever it might be, I was eating in a stressed out state. I wasn't eating because I was like feeling really good and I was eating because I was feeling stressed. You know, night times can be pretty stressful in my household. My 2 little guys running around bouncing off the walls. Maybe they're not listening to me. Maybe I'm trying to like clean up and do laundry and these types of things, or I'm cleaning the house and they're making a mess literally like behind. It seems like they're walking behind you, throwing stuff everywhere, right? Even though they're not. But it seems that way sometimes when you're trying to clean the house and get ready for the week to start, and you turn around and there's just mess everywhere that you just cleaned up, right? Any of you moms know exactly what I'm talking about. But I noticed my negative feedback loop was that I would go and start eating, and I would eat to the point of feeling kind of icky. I would eat to the point of feeling uncomfortable. And that's definitely a pattern for me. So anyway, for myself personally, I've actually made a goal that I'm not going to drink in January, and I'm not going to eat chocolate this month either. I have set a goal of not drinking alcohol, and that really has served me so well. I feel so good the months I'm not drinking. And then when I do start to incorporate alcohol back into my life, it's on even less of a basis. So like I drink so much less now because now I have a whole lot of evidence that I don't need to drink. It's okay to take a month off. And then when I come back to it, I don't miss it so much that I go crazy. I actually don't need as much of it because now I know that it's not as important to me as I once thought it was. I've realized that like I can get through stressed out times or emotions without going to drink. That's been really great. I've never actually set a goal of not eating chocolate. So if anyone would like to join me on this no alcohol or no chocolate journey, my goal is to reduce my sugar intake because of how sugar is negatively impacting how I feel. And I can feel a difference. Like I know when I'm eating more sugar than I need to be, that it's not, doesn't make me feel good. So thank you for tuning in today. It was so great to share a little bit about what's coming up for me at this time in the new year as it pertains to health. And please feel free to reach out at any time if I can serve you anyway in your health journey. It's been a really incredible few years since I've started mine, and I continue to learn more and more about it. So I just really encourage you to be very honest with yourself and with what you need, and give yourself a lot of grace, knowing that health does not happen overnight. It takes time, it takes persistence, it takes each day doing something, even one thing, to just support your health in a greater way. For me right now, it's not drinking, it's not eating chocolate. I'm working on sleeping more, as I mentioned, and some other things as well that I'm still figuring out for going into the new year. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.